Welcome back, guys, to DevTalks podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about the great Dr. Pepper scandal of 2024. I am sitting down today with Miss Riley Grunden. How are you, Riley?
Good, how are you?
I am doing well. I'm kind of outraged about the school and how your son's been treated, just to be honest with you. Let's dive right in. I'm going to give you the floor. I'm going to let you share what has happened, kind of tell the story of what's happened, and then we're going to get into kind of the nitty-gritty of what's going on with the statements from the school, and some other things that's been going on in our community about this. So I'm going to hand it over to you. What happened on that day?
I went into the central office about 7:30 and sat down with Officer Wilbanks, Tammy Heine.
How did you find out first?
They called me, Tammy Heine called me the night before and said that I needed to have Wyatt at the central office before he was able to enter school grounds.
Why was he called in for the central office? Like, what happened before that? Like, you're okay.
He had posted a Snapchat of an AK-47 made out of Dr. Pepper cans.
Okay, so a non-functioning piece of artwork, let's say,
Right.
and you're saying it was made out of these things, right?
Yes.
Okay, so as far as I know, there's been no recorded deaths of Dr. Pepper shooting anyone.
Right,
Okay,
right.
I just wanted to clear that up real quick. Okay, so he makes his piece of art. He posts it online. You get a call. What happens next?
I get a call. They tell me that Wyatt can't enter school grounds. He needs to be at the central office at 7:30 because his Snapchat post put fear into at least one student.
Oh, my.
So I was up there at 7:30. I sat down with Officer Wilbanks, Tammy Heine, and Lana Tharp. They pretty much went on to say that it doesn't matter what Wyatt made anything out of. We would still be up there if it was a gun. Anything made into a gun.
Anything that looked like a weapon.
Whether it's Legos, anything, we would have still been up there.
Where was their concern coming from? I mean, it's Dr. Pepper cans.
I guess it put the fear into one student. Who that one student is, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, here in America, we kind of rely on facts and logic to with anything that includes punishment of children, punishment of adults. You know, we're not a country of feelings.
Right.
You know, if we
right.
were, we'd be screwed as a society because you know, facts don't care about your feelings. So you get called in. Take us through the steps of what happened.
They said that it put fear into at least one student, that these things aren't okay, especially with what's going on in the world today, which I totally understand. Yeah. I brought up the fact that students and staff post pictures of real firearms all the time, and that's not a threat, and they told me no. That didn't hurt or threaten anybody, pretty much is what they stated.
But your son posting a picture of cans is the threatening
Hurt
thing.
somebody's feelings, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. So at this point, do you know he's suspended?
I don't at this point. It's
Okay.
not till probably 15 minutes into pretty much this argument that I'm having with them. It got to the point where Officer Wilbanks asked me what type of firearms I had in my safe.
Did you say we're free Americans?
I said, well, definitely not an AK-47 if that's what you're getting at. They even went to the extent to ask Wyatt, what do you shoot with an AK-47?
Like trying to bait him?
Bait him, yeah, for him to save people. And he was like, guns or cans, birds, like
Yeah, just
random things.
yeah, the country shit that we
Not
do.
people, yeah. It went on to say that it was labeled as cyberbullying and threatening.
So
the school.
that is what's on his record right now is cyberbullying and threatening a school, right?
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
It pisses me off.
Yeah, it would piss me off too.
He will never be able to get a scholarship. Nothing. He won't be able to join the military. This will follow him for the rest of his life.
Yeah,
and he did nothing wrong.
They screwed his life
Yes.
over something so minute. And as creative, you know, as a school, you think you'd want to promote creativity any way possible in a kid. And that comes in the form of different things, especially for different kids. We have a different culture here in southern Missouri. We hunt, we fish. Most of the things we do are outdoors things. You know, it's not uncommon to see children out with their dads, out with their uncles or friends, hunting, shooting things. I mean, I guarantee you go through half the administration's photos and there's pictures of weapons with their children shooting a deer, shooting a turkey, shooting targets. You know, I don't understand how they're cherry picking outrage on things. And it scares me because to me, this is the most disgusting, blatant example of government overreach that I have ever seen. And it's scary to me that it's happening in our little town, a conservative, Ruby Red, Missouri, southern Missouri, where we're such a tight-knit community, okay? We all thrive on our guns, we don't let the government tell us what to do. Everyone's independent. We're free. We're red, white, and blue Americans. And then yet, here we are. The school is coming into your home. They're telling you, we don't like what you're doing in your home as a parent because of what your kid thinks is cool. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
And how'd you react when all this started? I mean, kind of take us through your thought process, the emotional part of it. Like, what?
When I left the office, I was so pissed. I called my husband and I'm like, what in the world? Like, what are we going to do? Mm-hmm. Because usually with the school, I just let things go, which they've never reached this far. Yeah. I mean,
and people normally do let things go. And I think that's why they're emboldened to do more.
That's why Miss Tharp posted what she posted a couple days after the thing aired on TV, was
the
trying
statement?
to cover her ass.
Okay, yeah, that's another place we need to start. Okay, so this happens. You find out your son's suspended. He's got cyberbullying. He's got threatening a school on his record now. Kind of blows up in their face. Mm-hmm. You talk to a news agency out of Springfield, KY3.
Yes.
And the school's reasoning behind all this was that there was a child that felt threatened in a school, and so we acted blah, 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 right? Mm-hmm. Well, in the statement that Ms. Tharp released post-interview with you, I'm going to read it real quick, just to kind of get some thoughts on this, because I think it's very important, because I think this is moving the goalpost. Once you release a statement on a reasoning, you can't recant that and come up with a new reasoning, because people are mad about that reason. They can't be, okay, well, that wasn't a good reason. Let me give you another reason.
Right. Well, and I contacted KY3.
Yeah.
I emailed them and was like, this is what's going on in small town Mountain View. Like, I feel like this would be a very good topic for a lot of people. Yeah. My son was wrongfully suspended. I reached out to them. They didn't reach out to me. Mm-hmm. I reached out to them because they wrongfully suspended my son and put stuff on his record that shouldn't have been there.
Exactly. And like you said, screws him for the rest of his life. This isn't just some little playground incident. They're going to look at, like, if he tries to go to college, they're going to see that. They're like, well, we don't want that kind of kid. Not that he is that kind of kid.
Right.
But, I'm going to read this statement real quick, just so everyone can hear and understand how fucking ridiculous this whole thing is.
Yes.
Let me find it here. Here we go. Dr. Pepper Scandal 2024. Dear Mountain View Birch Tree family, staff, and community, I want to take a moment to address a recent story aired on KY3 that has sparked conversations within our community. While I cannot discuss the specifics of the student matter, I feel it's crucial to express our unwavering commitment to protecting the privacy and well-being of every single student in the Mountain View Birch Tree School District. Stop right there. That's her trying to pull on the heartstrings of the community. Oh, well, they've got the best interest of our children at heart. They're doing their best. That's all that is.
Right.
As your superintendent and a member of this community, I truly care about each of our students. My priority is to create an environment where they feel safe, supported, and valued. Does your son feel very safe, supported, or valued right now?
No, he feels like he has a target on his back at school. He's in trouble every day.
Oh, I assume so. So there are exceptions to that statement, I would say. Not just academically, but physically, socially, emotionally. Confidentiality laws are in place to ensure that our students' rights are upheld, and we must adhere to these laws, even when they're challenging. Did the police investigate this?
No.
Okay, so this was strictly a school policy thing.
Mm-hmm.
You would think if it was so dire and so serious, the first thing they would do is bring in the police, let them investigate, and then default on their judgment.
That's what my husband said. He said, I want you to call up to the police department, and I want you to say, hey, my AK-47 Dr. Pepper gun is missing.
Yes.
Like, I need somebody to search for it right now. That thing is lethal.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, no, I can't call up there and say that.
Well, I'm sorry, but the worst thing a Dr. Pepper can do to you is, like we were talking about, give you freaking diabetes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then I'm going to go on with this statement. I understand that when stories emerge in the media, it can lead to questions and concerns. Unfortunately, the complexities of these situations are not always fully represented. In this case, KY3 did not fully represent the complexities of the situation. They inserted a Facebook message from Mountain View Birch Tree's Facebook page. I had absolutely nothing to do with the incident they were reporting on. They did not include the full statement that I provided them. I declined an interview with them due to the sensitive nature of the situation, which we could not fully disclose. Disciplinary incidents involve an investigation, and one like this includes not only reviewing the immediate circumstances of who the photo was sent to and why, but also past incidents involving a student and the interactions with those same peers in the past. What appears to be a simplified soundbite or a snapshot completely fails to capture these details. Okay, we're going to stop right there. So, from the first explanation that you got as a mother is that someone felt unsafe by seeing this picture, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So now they're changing it to, well, that's not the reason. There's more to the story now. Now we're looking at his past. We're looking on how he interacts with kids. We're looking at all these different things. And this is the real reason. Not the reason we gave you, Ms. Grunden.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reasons that we need to create now because this reason wasn't good enough and it's caused outrage in our community.
Yeah.
And so all this is the government moving the goalpost. Mm-hmm. They're one, they want to save face. They know what they did wrong. But instead of fixing it, saying, hey, I'm sorry, maybe we overreacted, maybe we acted too harshly, instead they're doubling down. And they're trying to make your son seem like a very bad person when that's not the case.
Well, even the KY3 news reporter, she read me their statement after our interview. And nothing like that was in there. It was pretty much like it caused fear into one student.
That's what I saw.
That's pretty much all the statements said that she posted with them.
But
then she changed it after they didn't get the reaction that they wanted from everybody.
Yes, they were expecting full support from their community for government overreach. It didn't happen, so now they've got to change that goalpost. They've got to villainize your son to make him look worse so they can save face within the community. That's exactly what this is. Because one thing any government agency is scared of is backlash from the community.
Right.
These details. Okay. As a community leader, I am deeply concerned when media coverage becomes part of the problem rather than part of the solution. I'm sorry, Ms. Tharp. I will become part of the problem. Because I am not here to do puff pieces. Like there are media outlets around here that do puff pieces. They're all in an inner circle. They're all with their elite friends and everything. And they only report the side that makes their friends look good.
Right.
For a reason. They keep the circle of information going because they all pat each other on the back. It's the buddy-buddy system. That's all it is.
If they wanted to actually reach out and help the situation, they wouldn't just go to one side.
Exactly.
They would have contacted me.
Yes.
But they didn't.
They
went to the school, had their little meet and greet, and posted a social media post about it. That was it.
It's all about sound bites and clicks.
And how they were appalled that my son's name was mentioned.
Yes, we're going to bring that up here in just a minute because I think that is just another, in my opinion, she used appalled, I used disgusting. I think it's disgusting for her to even talk on your behalf as the parent. As a community, okay, responsible reporting is essential in ensuring that our community stays informed and united. So it's the media's job to unite us, apparently, not tell you the news. When sensationalized stories emerge, they can create confusion and mistrust, distracting from our collective efforts to support our students and families. It is imperative that the media prioritizes accuracy and sensitivity, particularly when dealing with matters that involve the safety of our children. I want you to know that our district is dedicated to transparency where we can, but we're not telling you anything. That was me. That wasn't from the statement. But we must also prioritize the privacy of our students. Together, we can foster a culture of trust, truth, learning, hard work, joy in our schools. Your support means the world to us as we navigate these situations, and I appreciate your understanding during this time. Thank you for your understanding, ongoing trust in our district. I don't think there's much trust, Lana. Sincerely, Lana Thorpe, Superintendent. Okay. So, going through this message, I see a lot of problems with it. For one, she's saying that it's the media's job to unite everyone. It's not. It's to report the facts, where we get the facts. She says, you need to report the full story, but we can't give you the full story because of confidentiality. I get it. There's things you can't talk about. But when you give a reason for punishing a child, something so severely as this, where it's going to affect him the rest of his life, you can't change that statement. You can't change that reasoning because it didn't set well with our community. And it's disgusting. And now you have become a victim of government overreach. You have become a victim of the government coming into your house telling you what is okay and what is not okay in your house that you pay for. How does all this just make you feel? I guess, how do you feel about all this?
At first I felt like my hands were tied.
Yeah. I
didn't know what to do. The day I left the central office, I was on the phone till 8:30 that night. I had called everybody. I had talked to board members. And the next day I was just like, what do I do?
Yeah.
My hands are tied.
And going up against a government agency is almost impossible on itself.
Right.
Because they hold all the power.
Where do I go from here?
Where do you go from here?
And then that night I was like, going to email KY3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get the story out there because obviously it's not going to go very far in our small town. So I emailed them, and they got back with me the next morning at like 9 a.m. And I set up the interview, and at first I was like, do I really want to go through with this? Like, I'm going up against the school.
Yes. With
like, it's scary.
A lot of tax money coming in from, they have resources that we don't as normal people.
And then, after the 3-day OSS is up, I have to send my son back to school. So I'm trying to navigate that, and it's tolling on my mental health. But that's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about why it's mental health, because...
How has this affected him?
He messaged me the other day after school, and he's like, Mom, I really think that I need to change. I'm like, no. He's
wanting to get out of that school?
Yeah.
Like you said, does he feel like there's just a target painted on his back right now?
Yeah, literally every day after school he comes home and he's like, I know that there's a target on my back now because this happened today. And every day it's something different. Whether the school's calling me or why it's coming home and telling me, this teacher won't even speak to me. Like,
that's not right.
I keep getting side-eyed from this teacher.
Mm-hmm. It's bullying. I mean, if they're going to get your son for cyberbullying, I mean,
right?
Come on, can't we hold the teachers to that same standard?
Right. I mean, they're grown people.
Yeah.
Why do you go home at night and think that you're bigger and better because you bullied a 13-year-old child today?
I think some people get off on a power trip like that.
Yes.
And it's scary. But, accountability should be held at all levels. If we're going to hold a child accountable for an art project, then we should hold the same standard to the administration, to the faculty, to the staff.
Right. And, I am his mother, so I'm supposed to protect him.
Yeah, Mom Bear's going to protect her cub.
And I literally send him to school because I don't know what to do with the whole homeschooling thing. I'm terrified of it.
Yeah.
And I send him to school every day, and I literally sit at home and worry about, is Wyatt having a good day? Mm-hmm. I literally message him all throughout the day. He'll go to the bathrooms at certain times during the day just to read my messages and message me back. That way I know if he's having a bad day or a good day, or if something's been said to him, or...
That's sad that as a parent that you have to do that. I mean, checking in on your child, yes, but the fact that you are so worried about his mental health, just his well-being in that school right now because you ruffled feathers.
Well, and Wyatt is he's very outgoing. He's funny. He is a big jokester. But it's terrifying that something this small has taken a toll on him like it has.
Yeah.
Because of the school system.
Well, this will stay with him. He's in his formative years. Mm-hmm. Every little thing that happens to a child while they're growing, their brain's developing. This is something that's going to follow him for the rest of his life now. And the backlash that you say he's getting at school, I mean, if we're going to care about the safety and physical and mental well-being of our children, we should do it to all children, whether they ruffle feathers or not, whether they disagree with the staff, the administration, or the faculty. It doesn't matter, because at this point we have a child who went against the grain and has a mom who's standing up for her child like you have every right to do, but then he's getting punished inside the school for that. That's a scary thing.
Yeah, I feel like even if I didn't reach out to KY3 and I didn't make this a big deal, that he would still be getting backlash for it. I mean, he has friends and some certain teachers in middle school that do support my situation and him 110%. But then we have other ones who are more worried about keeping their name that they have than standing up and doing what's right.
Well, they're not going to rock the feed trough. I mean, they're not going to risk getting fired. They're cowards. That's all it is cowardice. You either stand up for what's right all the time or you're a coward, in my opinion.
And then I have a kid in elementary. She doesn't have the same last name as us. But is this going to follow her? Yeah. Like when she gets in middle school, is she also going to get treated poorly because her brother made an AK-47 out of Dr. Pepper cans?
That, and I can't stress that enough, is that he made a piece of artwork. Tell us, were you there whenever he was making it? What was going on?
Well, I will tell you, the only gun he did use was a hot glue gun.
Yeah.
He hot glued them together. And he just came out with it in the living room. Me and my sister were sitting there, and he just comes out. He's like, look at this. He was so excited. He's like, I want to save all these different cans and do the same thing. And
he's just expressing himself.
Yes, he was so excited. He does the dumbest things sometimes. He will put together random things for no reason and just be so happy about it. And that's good. And that's like I told the school. I was like, if he's never creative in here again, I don't want to hear one negative thing about it. Yeah. He can't even be creative at home.
And that's I guess the main point. Like, okay, it's a reach, but I could maybe understand them getting mad if he made this in art class. Okay, maybe
On school grounds.
On school grounds. Okay, it's shady, but I see it. Okay, yeah, you can't have any. I think there was a kid one time that got in trouble for chewing a Pop-Tart into the shape of a pistol before.
My husband has a friend. His child was in history class, and they were doing a lesson on cowboys and Indians, and the Indian had a knife on his side, and they suspended that kid for 2 days.
Really? And see, and this is what scares me, is we are losing common sense out of, I don't know if it's fear or just wanting to take it to that level to have that control, but, your son, he was home. He was under your supervision. He was doing what he wanted because he was under lock and key in your house doing what he wants to do. I mean, he probably wasn't even on his mind that the school would get mad. It shouldn't have been on his mind that the school would get mad. And what scares me about this is the school is, telling the public that if we don't like what your child is doing at home, if we don't like the activities they're involved in, if we don't like the art that they're doing, then we are going to come into the home and we are going to set the example that you apparently are not setting. And that's a scary thing. There's been this has been a big topic. It's starting to get national attention. I mean, we've seen several different podcasts come out and talk about it, and I'm glad it is, because this is an important issue. And if we allow it now, it's just going to get worse down the road. And I'm all for government accountability, and our school districts, our government entities, they will never be perfect, but we need to hold them to that perfect standard. Because if we don't hold them to that perfect standard and we let them off on these excuses of, well, we're just human, yeah, but you're in control of a lot of people's lives.
Right.
And there's been some articles come out. One article from a local news source. I'm just going to read you the quote. It said, quote, "We should all be ashamed that a snarling delight for gossip combined with an unreasonable adherence to policy has once again invited agitation and unrest into our community via online journalism." Article that this reporter was stating how disgusted she was that the YouTuber named your child online. And, I really don't think it's her place to be disgusted. I mean, are you okay with it?
I'm perfectly fine with it, but she never said my son's name. She said mine.
Yeah.
My son's name is Riley Grunden. And I'm his parent, so I can talk about the situation. And I put it out there for everybody to see and read. So obviously I want his name heard. Yeah. Because he's being treated poorly.
Well, he's at the forefront of this. This is Wyatt's fight right now.
I don't want my photo out there.
Yeah.
I'm his mom. I want his photo out there because they did him wrong.
Let him see the face of the victim.
Yeah.
And I don't know. This is where, they talk about like media and journalism trying to unite us and stuff. But on the same coin, if they're using the media to their advantage and they can be appalled or disgusted about these certain things, but it almost takes away from you, the parent, because it's like, well, I'm disgusted about it, so why isn't the mom disgusted about it? Trying to like paint you guys in a bad light. And that's what I don't like, is we have this double standard in society with the local elite. They're all friends. I've witnessed it firsthand. I've been in the belly of beast. They all go to dinner together. They know each other by first name. They're friends. And then when all this stuff comes out, a lot of these news agencies, they say they're a trusted source of journalism. They are to a certain extent, as long as it helps their friends out.
Right.
They're not going to ruffle the feathers of their buddy system and report the whole thing. And a lot of these news agencies, they want to tell you how to think about these things, and they want to hit you on the heartstrings and pull at the moral obligation to be outraged by certain things or to not like certain things, to just go along with what their agenda is. And it's disgusting to me, and then I don't know. At the end of the day, what do you want to come out of this? What, in your perfect scenario, if accountability is held like it should be, what would you like the school to do to right the wrong done to Wyatt?
I want them to take it off his record.
Pretty simple. You're not asking for much.
I'm not asking for a lot.
Not at all.
And probably an apology. That would be nice.
I think you should have a formal apology done.
Yes.
Have you spoken with any school board members on this?
Yes. I've spoken with 3.
How are they feeling?
2, I really liked what they had to say.
Okay.
They were great. They're big hunters. A lot of them know the family I married into. Very nice. They actually took more than 5 minutes to hear me out.
Yeah.
And then there was a member higher up on the board that told me that he could not comment at this time. Probably for his reputation. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Just wouldn't hear you out.
But the ones lower on the totem pole wanted to hear me out and literally took the time. I was on the phone with them for, one was 30 minutes and the other one, I think I was on the phone with him for an hour and a half.
Yeah. And he was letting you have your time to talk
Yeah.
about your displeasure in how the school's handling
He
this.
was just as appalled as I was. He was like, this is ridiculous.
This is... I'm kind of at a loss for words right now just because of how ridiculous and how vile they've treated your son over this.
Mm-hmm.
The only way to hold a government accountable is to bring it into the light. You know, sunshine is the best disinfectant, especially for government entities. One thing they throw on more than anything is public opinion. The fact that this is getting, you know, media attention, national attention, podcast attention, it's a good step in the right direction. But the fact remains is, instead of this school doubling down on what they did to your son, why not just do an apology? You know, just say, oh, maybe we overstepped, you know, but instead they double down and then they release a statement saying, you know, we're looking at the past of your son.
Well, not only that, anybody who didn't watch the KY3 article, read that post on Mountain View Birch Tree, went to KY3, seen it was my son.
Yeah.
So no, she didn't type his name out, but she might as well have.
Exactly. Yes. So, I mean, there was identifiable information in it, you know,
Yes.
so saying a name, whatever. Let's keep going here. A question that I have for you, and I'm sure a lot of people are wondering about, is, you know, KY3, you've been on there, done an interview, you're on my podcast now. Has any local media reached out to get your side of the story?
Not one.
Not one. So whenever a media agency makes a post, does their whole little quote-unquote journalist thing, why not reach out to you and get your side?
I feel like if they actually wanted to hear both sides, they would have reached out. You know, if their heartstrings was tugged on because of this situation, they wouldn't just reach out to the school and make a social media post. They would have reached out to me.
Yeah.
And said, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
What happened? Since the school can't legally tell me what happened, why don't you?
Yeah, well, at least get both sides of the story. I mean, instead of going at it, but this is what I'm talking about, the elites. You know, they protect each other. Yet they reached out to the school, but ignored the family, who is affected by this gross overreach. To me, that's kind of wild. If you're going to be a journalist and you're going to beat your chest about being unbiased, you would think reaching out to both sides would be the minimum that you could do to make sure you are getting the full story. Because they're only hearing the school side, which of course the school is going to try to look at. We've seen that in that statement. They've already moved the goalposts, trying to say we're looking into his past. What is Wyatt's past? You don't have to go into specifics, but has he ever been in trouble for threatening someone or been a danger to the school? Or
he got in a physical fight one time.
How long ago?
I think it was in 6th grade.
Okay.
He was being bullied. The school didn't think it was that big of a deal. So the way that I was raised is, if nobody is going to stand up for you, you got to stand up for yourself.
Yeah, that's how we
So
are.
I told Wyatt, stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
He went in and stood up for himself. He ended up getting 3 days ISS over it.
And what grade's he in now?
8th.
8th. So we're talking over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Something that's long gone, done. Has anything happened recently about that would cause the school to think he's a danger, that he is a threat, or anything like that?
I mean,
or is the school just blatantly lying?
Yeah, they are. If they think that fidgeting or standing up and making funny faces in a mirror is a threat, then I guess by all means he's a threat.
What do you mean by that?
Ever since I went on KY3, I have gotten a phone call about every single day from the middle school.
Really? Just
he's in trouble for this. He was fidgeting. He stood up in a chair.
Just minor stuff.
Minor stuff.
Did you ever get a call about these things before?
I did, but not near as much as I have.
No.
I have probably talked to the assistant principal, more in the last 2-3 weeks than I ever have.
Really? So it went from every once in a while, he's a kid, you know, he's going to get in trouble, whatever, we're going to have to call mom and dad. But from then, it's been an everyday thing where do you feel kind of like they're picking on him? They're trying to pick apart little things.
Or just keep picking and picking and picking until they have enough to be like, okay, see, I told you this kid was a problem. Yeah. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Like they're trying to make their case.
He is 100% boy. He's ADHD. Wyatt is who he is. And he can be a very, very respectful child. But now he's just to the point where I'm like, let me get up today and go to school and get in trouble for looking in a mirror.
And honestly, his give a damn's probably busted.
It is. He's over it. He's like, please homeschool me. Please homeschool me. And I'm to the point when I'm probably going to, because you know, with all the school shootings and stuff going around, I get it. Yeah. It's a scary world.
It is.
I should have to worry about my son going to school and there being a shooting. I should not have to worry about him going to school and being bullied by grown adults.
Yes. And the thing is, we need to protect our children in our schools indefinitely. And I'm firm on that too, is like, I understand the extra precautions because we do live in such an unprecedented time in history. You know, like you said, shootings are going on a lot, you know, but I don't think punishing a child for artwork, for his artistical freedom that he expresses in his house, has anything to do with the school. And, you know, mind your damn business. You know, the school needs to mind its damn business. And that is like my main point with all this is if it didn't happen on school grounds, if there was no prior threat made to the school, then what right does the school have to come in and punish your child for what he did at his house?
Well, I feel like, you know, they blew this way out of proportion. And if it was that big of a deal, I feel like they should have gotten the law enforcement involved. Why wouldn't you?
Yes, you bring up a very good point on this.
Why didn't they? Yeah. I'm confused as to why they didn't. I think it's simply because they knew it was dumb, and they just wanted to pinpoint Wyatt and get him in more trouble. Yeah. Here, this kid was an ass for the past multiple weeks at school. Yeah. Let's put this on his record.
Yeah, we got
That's kind of where I'm at with it now. Yeah. And even more so now that, you know, that had aired and I had posted on social media, I feel like now he just has a big old target on his back. Yeah, now bigger than what he did before.
And now he's getting the backlash from everything. And you do bring up a good point that if it was such a big deal, if, you know, they had this tremendous concern about it, give it to the authorities, let them investigate, and then default to their judgment on what needs to be done. But from what you're saying, the authorities weren't involved, correct?
Never. My husband said he thinks that they didn't involve the authorities because they would probably be like, you're an idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing?
So they went off half-cocked on this over, I guess, a policy that they had just made. Have you looked into the handbook? Is there any policies like...
No, I went through I wanted to be prepared the next morning when I went in there, because when I hung up the phone from Miss Heine, I was livid. So I went through the whole handbook. I went through everybody that works at that school and whose children go to that school. I went through everybody's social media, and I was going to lay it all out there. Yeah. I went through the handbook for over an hour, not once. So when she pulled up cyberbullying, I was like,
what was their reasoning behind being able to get him for cyberbullying?
Because it was on his phone and he sent it to students.
Oh my God. And
that still doesn't make any sense to me, though, because it was literally just
showing his friends
of the gun or of the Dr. Pepper cans. Yeah. And it said it had a song link to it from Snapchat that was like, this is an AK-47, the most powerful gun in the world. Had it been a threat, Wyatt would not have a phone. He would be in so much trouble at home. If he had done anything wrong, I would not have reached out to KY3 to air this. Yes. But I don't have anything to hide. So that's why I reached out to them and was like, hey, do you want to air this?
Are you going to go to the school board meeting?
Yes.
On the is it the 24th or 25th? I think it's the 25th.
It's the third Thursday, isn't it?
Third Thursday, yeah. So, are they going to allow you to speak there? Do you know anything about how that's going to work out?
I don't.
Are they going to be discussing this? I'm surprised they didn't call an emergency meeting for something so serious like this.
Well, I mean, if the school feels like they're being attacked, you think that they would. Yeah. But from what I was told is it would be discussed behind closed doors because it was a student.
So even going, it's probably not going to get no information.
But at the same time, I've talked to the board members. I've put his name and face out there. I gave KY3 a picture of him. Like, I don't care who hears about this story.
Yeah, it needs to be
I've
heard.
seen a lot of positive feedback and a little bit of negative. And that's what it is. Like,
yes.
I was so scared of putting it out there because I was so scared of what I was going to hear back. You know, and we're a small community, and
everything gets talked about.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was very nervous the first couple of days. I did have to stay off social media because I was like,
just worried.
What? I usually can't keep my mouth shut.
Can you scoot up to the mic a little?
Sorry.
No, you're fine. It's just it was getting a little faint.
And this time I need to keep my mouth shut. You know, so I just had to stay off social media.
Yeah.
But I went back and read everything, and everything's pretty positive.
Yeah.
I mean,
the only people that I see any negative from is either through friends or news agencies that have a tie or stuff like that. Which is
that's like there's more to this story. Okay, well if you think there's more to this story, message me on Facebook.
Reach out.
I'll post my number. Like, call or send me a text and ask me what happened, because I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I have no reason to, because he did nothing wrong.
He did nothing wrong, and I think that's the main point to drive home here is he did nothing wrong. He was in his house. The government overreached. They're doubling down on it, and unfortunately, your son is catching the brunt from it, and he's going to feel the effects from this forever, because like we were talking about in the beginning, college. If he wants to go into the military.
Wyatt's talked. He's even made TikToks about going into the military.
Yeah.
Like,
and now that dream could be shattered over a school overreacting.
Yes.
That's got to make you feel pretty bad as a mom, knowing that a school has done this to your child.
It has definitely affected my mental health. I had Wyatt when I was 15.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a kid having a kid.
Yeah. And
I feel like I've raised him pretty well for...
we all do the
giving
best
what I, had at the age of 15.
Yeah.
I didn't have a job or a car. Like, I was 15. So I just...
No parent's perfect. I mean,
right.
I don't care what anyone says. Once you have a kid, it's all learning as you parent.
Yes. So, I mean, it sucks. Like, I'm not going to lie. I've stayed up at night crying because I'm just like...
Oh, I can't imagine the emotional toll it's taken on you as the mother.
Why would somebody just... bully my 13-year-old?
Yeah.
I don't understand. And him thinking that he needs to change as a person because of what the school has portrayed him to be.
Yeah. Is that where it's at now, is he thinks he needs to be someone else?
Mm-hmm.
That's sad.
It is. It's heartbreaking because anybody who knows why, he can be a bit of annoying. He has ADHD.
He's a kid.
13.
He's a kid.
Yes.
He's a teen or a preteen boy. Boys are annoying. Yeah.
Yes. He literally walks through the house and all he does is make dirt bike sounds because he has a dirt bike. But he is so outgoing and funny, and he tries to spread positivity onto other people, and the fact that the school has done nothing but throw negative things at him just makes me so mad. Yeah.
I really hope something gets done with this. I hope they take it off his record. I hope they apologize to him at the very least. That's the least that can be done. I'm sure this isn't over. And I hope it's not. And I hope it's not. I think the community supports you. Thank you for standing up to the government. That can be a scary, hard thing.
It is.
But if we don't do it for our kids, who will?
Exactly.
We are our children's keeper. It's up to us. And I applaud you for what you're doing because you're actually taking the fight to them. A lot of people, and this is how I think this kind of stuff gets started, is I'm sure we can go back past few years and see little overreaches kind of like this, not as severe, but like maybe the kid shouldn't have been punished for something he did at his house, but he did. He said something outside of school that got in trouble, and it's emboldened them to go farther. And now it's to the point to where your child at your house is having fun, doing what he's doing, and now he's having consequences that are life-altering.
I'll be completely honest. I had never even thought about government overreach or the school overstepping until this happened to my son. Yeah. And then I've been going through social media posts and reading comments on people who share my situation going on, and I'll read what happened to them or what's going on with them, and I'm like, did the school give birth to our children? Because I don't think they did.
No, and we do not export our parenting to the school. Our children are ours. They are our blood. They are ours.
Yes.
They're our DNA. They do not belong to the school. And I think that is the biggest problem with schools and any government in today's society is they think they own our children. But in reality, schools are funding, kids are funding for schools. Mm-hmm. and they're going to do everything they can to keep that funding in check, and they're going to make sure they're the best behaved. But they need to know their place and mind their damn business, I guess, is my main say on this. Well, I applaud you for what you're doing, for taking the fight to them. I know our community's behind you. I know there's a lot of people behind you. It's very brave, very admirable what you're doing. If you want to come back on later on and talk about how progress is going and get justice for Wyatt, and anything you want to say before we wrap up.
Just thanks to people who support us in our situation. It's very hard, but I will get an apology sooner or later.
Yes, you will. And anything you need, please reach out.
Thanks.
Yeah. Before we go, I hope maybe after this, maybe it'll encourage some local media and some local news sources around here to reach out to you and actually get both sides of the story instead of just one. Because to me, it's disgusting that you would go to one, which is the government,
that can't say anything.
They're not going to give you any information. Instead of coming to the mom and seeing the side of the story that they don't want you to see.
And that's the thing. My whole phone is full of receipts.
Yeah.
I have papers that, show what Wyatt's been in trouble for, what he hasn't been in trouble for. I am not scared to show any of that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're being transparent.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
In the school, well, I mean, I think a lot of times these schools, they use it as a shield, because I think they know they're in the wrong here, and I think they know they fucked up.
Well, and that's why they moved the goalpost, as you said,
because it wasn't good enough. Someone being scared.
There was too many rednecks that commented and said, "I just seen somebody carrying out 2 cases of Dr. Pepper." Yeah. What the world? That's not the feedback they wanted.
No.
So now let's change the narrative.
Let's change it. Let's villainize him. Let's make it worse than what it is. Well, thank you for coming on and do this. I know my thoughts and prayers are with you, and I'm sure our community is the same way. We'll be praying for you. Keep up the good fight and hold them accountable.
Yeah, thank you.
Guys, come to the school board meetings if you can. We need to help any way we can with this. Government overreach is a disgusting thing, and it doesn't affect you until it does. And hope you guys like this episode. Maybe it brought a little clarity to the situation. And cheers, guys.